Politics is our family business here on this program. It's Michael Patrick Shields, heard all across the state of Michigan. Glad to be joined if you're listening in Mount Pleasant, Petoskey, Traverse City, Hastings, Lansing, Saginaw, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, St. Joe, Benton Harbor, and everywhere in between, or watching on Fox 47 television, or maybe you're catching us online at MichiganTalkNetwork.com. In any case, we're glad to be with you. If you want 4 free tickets to see Bob Seger May 28th in Grand Rapids, RockingTheRoof.com is where you register. You'll get a limo ride, too, and a catered dinner on a rooftop high above Grand Rapids before the show starts. Brought to you by American Metal Roofs. Just go to RockingTheRoof.com, and you'll be at Van Andel Arena on the 28th with 3 of your best friends. Back to politics. Dan Perot is with us. Now, Dan Perot was the chief of staff for Governor Engler. He ran the Lamar Alexander for President campaign and is now with the American Justice Partnership. Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning again. How are you doing today?
Oh, good. I was watching Hardball yesterday with Chris Matthews, and he was live somewhere, and he did 30 minutes with the comedian Bill Maher. And I want to play this little clip from you from the show because I nearly fell off the chair, and I thought of you when it happened. Here is Chris Matthews with Bill Maher.
So bottom line here, is the president going to win, and who's he going to beat? Who's the nominee? Come on, make a pick.
Lamar Alexander. No, seriously, they need somebody like that, who's like Huckabee, who can unite both wings. I mean, I think, you know, as knowing the Republican Party, who picks like the oldest person whose turn it is,
lost many
it's
times.
like a gold watch, you know. So I predict Lamar Alexander and Orrin Hatch.
How about it, Dan Perot? We're going to get the band back together?
Sign me up. Come on along, Michigan.
Were you as startled as I was to hear him say that?
No, actually, I've heard Lamar's name mentioned a couple of times.
Yeah?
But Lamar isn't going to do it. He's having fun in the Senate, and you know, there's a time that comes, and then your time passes. And Lamar had a famous saying when he left the governor's office that you go from being the rooster to the feather duster overnight. And I think that's something to be said about knowing when to leave. And I think he's left the national stage.
Why does Bill Maher say that Lamar Alexander would be capable of joining both wings, if there are 2 wings of the Republican Party together?
Well, because he could be. I mean, he's demonstrated that in the Senate. He was that kind of a governor. He was that kind of a leader. He offered that kind of leadership for the country. But I think what he was saying in mentioning Lamar was someone like that, and that's why I think that the party will be looking to, again, the name keeps coming up over and over and over again, someone like Governor Mitch Daniels from Indiana, just south of our border, who has many of those same qualities. Has been able to pull R's and D's together in Indiana. Has passed considerable legislation that conservatives and the Republican Party would find acceptable. Has the kind of business experience that many people are looking for. You know, some of it a little bit. You know, that's why the Trump potential candidacy was sort of tantalizing to many. Is he had this business background and big hair, but you know, Mitch brings all of that, and so I think somebody like him would be a natural. And they made a joke about the Republican Party. You know, we picked the old guy. We don't necessarily pick the old guy. We sort of go by turns, sort of your turn.
Yeah.
And the Democrats sort of pick the one that nobody knows, and hopes that they can, you know, pull the wool over people's eyes. And I think, you know, they did that 2 years ago.
Well, for a while there, I mean, they had hit the dartboard and missed the dartboard with people like Mike Dukakis, and then. But you're right, the Republicans when they nominated Bob Dole, he clearly was not going to beat Bill Clinton, and when they nominated John McCain, that was sort of the gold watch, your turn sort of thing, wasn't it?
It was, but then again, you know, it was the same. It was the same thing with Vice President Bush, who challenged President Reagan, and he had that really tough primary there in '88. And then, of course, coming out of that, then, he had beaten Bob Dole, and Bob Dole, even though, of course, he was older, but still he was sort of seen the next in line, sort of earned that right to be the party's standard bearer. And then, the person he beat then came back and sort of his right, and that's why I think, you know, you'll see sort of this contest here. You know, will Romney be the guy? And his big problem, as you've reported on your radio station and every news station in the country, is Romney care, and Obama likes to tout Obamacare as it's Romney care for the country, and Romney's trying to say, yeah, but mine's not Obamacare, it's just for Massachusetts, and you know, conservatives saying, yeah, you only screwed up one state, thinks you're not screwing up the country.
Lamar Alexander's gimmick at the time, Senator Alexander, was he wore a flannel shirt, did he not, or a flannel coat of some sort?
He had a flannel shirt he wore across the state. It was something that he brought with him from his days as governor when he walked the state of Tennessee, and became a trademark for him. And he wore that shirt when he walked New Hampshire, and that was one of the gimmicks that he used to reach out to the people of New Hampshire in what's really a hand-to-hand state, and that worked well there. Didn't work well enough.
Let me ask you just knee-jerk reaction in the last 3 minutes or so that we have. President Barack Obama, according to Epic MRA, had a little bump in the polls in Michigan after the bin Laden raid. His favorable rating went to 53%.
Expected. I mean, you kill the world's #1 terrorist. People ought to get behind you. America did. They should. And now they're going to be back to looking at their wallets and price of gas and whether or not they have a job, and his numbers will come down.
What about the favorable rating for Governor Snyder, only 38%? At the same time, 55% of the people say Michigan's going in the wrong direction.
Again, expected.
Yeah.
Been through that with Governor Ringler back in our first term. When you make the kind of drastic change, people are demanding change, but at the same time, people are very reluctant to embrace change. And this is going on at a time that is very difficult. The lives here for Michigan families with mortgages upside down, $4 gas, et cetera. And then all you get is this ongoing barrage of news stories about what's going on with budget cuts, et cetera. It's not going to be unexpected to see those ratings go down. Now, I would still posit the same point. You run him again against any Democrat, and I don't care what the polls would say, he would win, because the Democrats that are out there are offering sort of the same old agenda that the Michigan people want changed. So it's not to be unexpected that that's going to happen. I think you'll also see a rebound come either early next year, or at least by next summer when the economy picks up. Snyder's numbers will pick up.
Senator Stabenow's rating 41%, 43% giving her a negative rating, and yet still she's got a lot of money for her reelect.
Well, she's very close to those who contribute. She'll be a formidable candidate. I don't think that the candidate that the Republican parties would field has surfaced yet. There's some good people out there. A guy I particularly like is Rob Steele, who ran a good campaign against
John
Dingell. I think conservatives could rally behind him, and I think he has the ability to raise a considerable amount of conservative money around the country. Stabenow, I think, by the virtue of her reelect, I think is under 50%. Anytime an incumbent's under 50%, that shows that they're vulnerable. So I think Stabenow's vulnerable, but to the right candidate. And someone's got to raise money. She's got $3 million in the bank. So you got to have somebody who can not only tap money in Michigan, but has an ability to tap a network around the country. And that's where someone like a conservative who's proven conservative credentials like a Rob Steele could do that.
And how about Mitt Romney raised $10 million in a call-a-thon in one day the other day? Could he raise $1 billion by the time this presidential cycle is over? Dan Perot with the American Justice Partnership. Always good to talk to you. Politics is our family business. It's Michael Patrick Shields in the American Metal Roof Studio.